The warp in the West, sometimes referred to as the miracle of peace or the second Numidium effect, was the most recent and well-known of the dragon breaks. The break's origins trace back to the events of 3E405, when an unknown affiliate of the Blades acquired the Totem of Tiber Septim and was given the choice as to who the totem would be delivered to. After the reassembled Numidium was reunited with the Mantella and walked again, a dragon break was created centering around the Blades agent's choice and splitting the Iliac Bay region into 6, 7, or possibly 8 separate timelines, all occurring simultaneously. While the actions of the Blades agent are believed to have taken place in 3E405, the actual break apparently did not occur until 12 years later in 3E417, more specifically the 10th of Frostfall, a day completely unknown and lost to all those who did not participate in the Numidium's battles. Despite some claims that the warp only lasted a day, other sources seem to imply that it may have subtly lasted much longer than it is said to have. When the break began, 6 Numidiums were created as well as 6 totems, each being gifted to different kingdoms or individuals. Each of the 4 great warring kingdoms of the Iliac Bay, Sentinel, Wayrest, Daggerfall, and Orsinium, were gifted totems and waged war on each other with their respective Numidiums, creating battles of incomprehensibly epic proportions. The Empire also gained control of the Numidium, using it to subjugate the Bay Kings. Both the Underking and the King of Worms gained possession of the totem and mantella, the Underking using them to grant himself death, and the King of Worms using it to make himself into a god. Some sources state that the Blades agent, in which the warp centered around, may have been killed by the Numidium, however. The true fate of the agent is completely unknown. The break probably ended after the 6 Numidiums were either demolished by each other or the Underking, and resulted with the region being heavily transformed. The area, which had once been made up of over 44 petty kingdoms, now encompassed only 4 equal-footed and well-organized kingdoms, with Wayrest controlling the eastern coast of the Iliac Bay, Orsinium controlling the Rothgarian Mountains, Sentinel controlling the southern coast, and Daggerfall controlling the west. The Bay Kingdoms remained part of the Empire, and stability was brought to the Iliac Bay. While the King of Worms did temporarily become a god, this aspect of the dragon break was eventually fixed by the Gills of Akatosh, and the God of Worms was returned to his mortal state. Some claim that the warp in the west heralded the fall of the Empire, and certain sources even seem to imply that in a separate timeline the Septim dynasty may have even collapsed during the warp.